Hi everyone, it's Katrina. Number 10. The Last Flying Dinosaur. The last flying dinosaur was supposedly seen in Papua New Guinea in the 1940s by American war veterans. A pterodactyl allegedly lived on the island of Umboy and was known to hunt fish in a nearby bay. American veterans witnessed the creature, but they never captured any evidence of it. Modern scientists say it's nothing but a silly story. According to the experts, all the dinosaurs have been gone for at least 65 million years. And yet another pterodactyl was allegedly photographed 100 years before during the American Civil War in the 1860s. There's been a photo floating around on the internet for years that defies all explanation. The photograph shows a group of Union Army soldiers posing with a dead dinosaur. One guy is even standing with his foot on the beak of the mighty pterodactyl, an ancient flying reptile that lived 100 million years ago. The single photograph is the only proof we have that dinosaurs continue to exist in small groups until modern times. It isn't the greatest proof since the photo could be a fake, but it's definitely something to think about. Do you think it's possible there could still be pterodactyls or other dinosaurs hiding in remote jungles in the world? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Number 9. The Babushka Lady. On November 22, 1963, JFK was assassinated in Dallas, Texas. In the moments after the shot rang out, it was pure chaos. People dropped to the ground, ran in horror. It was absolute anarchy. In the days that followed, police tried to track down every eyewitness who could explain what happened. They wanted to find someone who saw where the shot came from. The investigation revealed that nobody really saw the shooter, or even where the bullet came from. The police collected all the footage they could of those who had been filming JFK's motorcade. And this is where the photo of the Babushka Lady came from. She is present in almost every photograph of the assassination. We can't see her face because it's concealed by a headscarf, but we can see that she was a woman filming JFK's assassination. The police saw she had a camera in her hand and put out a bulletin request trying to find out who she was. The woman never came forward, and the FBI has never been able to identify her. One of the things that makes her so mysterious is that when everyone else screamed and ran for cover, she remained standing as if nothing had happened. The Babushka Lady kept filming even after the president was dead, and everyone else was running for their lives. The photos of her are frightening. The police are scrambling, citizens crouch in the grass in fear of the shooter, but the Babushka Lady stands tall as if she had known what was coming before the shot was even heard. Some have even speculated it was the Babushka Lady herself who killed Kennedy with a modified camera gun. And now for number 8. But first, I want to give a big shout out to William Davis and Crystal. Thanks so much for watching and supporting Origins Explained. If you are new here, be sure to subscribe and join the family. Number 8. The Hook Island Sea Monster. The Hook Island Sea Monster was immortalized in a photograph by Robert Le Sirec in 1964. He was the first man we know about who had an encounter with the creature that year in December. He described the beast as a ginormous tadpole. Robert spotted it in Stonehaven Bay off the coast of Australia's Hook Island. He was there with his family, and they all witnessed the massive beast like an underwater shadow moving near their boat. Robert and his family had just rented a motorboat and were hoping to spend a year exploring the island when they came across the 30-foot-long tadpole. According to Robert's story, he and his family initially thought the monster was dead. They took photographs of it from outside the water. Then Robert tried to get in the water to see the monster up close. When he did, the creature opened its mouth and moved as if it would swallow him. Robert fled to the safety of the boat, and by then, the creature was gone. They never saw the Hook Island sea monster again, but the photographs Robert and his family took live on. The issue with the mysterious photos is that they don't prove the creature's existence. The photos show a huge black shape under the water, but it could be anything. It could be a school of fish. There's just no way to tell. The picture is vague enough that it looks like a sea monster, but could be nothing but a swamp eel. Number 7. Lincoln's Ghost. American photographer William Mumler took a picture of a woman in 1872. This woman was Mary Todd Lincoln, the widow of U.S. President Abraham Lincoln. In the photograph, clear as day, you can see the ghost of Honest Abe standing over his wife with his hands gently placed on her shoulders. Although most experts agree the photograph was created as a hoax, as a way for William Mumler to make a name for himself and a lot of money, scientists still can't figure out how he did it. In 2022, photographic historian Mark Osterman tried to recreate the technique using 2 negatives printed at the same time with sleight of hand, but it's still never been confirmed how Mumler slipped ghosts into his photos. Mumler was a spirit photographer. He started in 1862 when he figured out how to make ghosts appear in the background of photographs. Spiritualists came to him for proof of the afterlife. The American Civil War had resulted in 600,000 deaths, and many widows were desperate to see their loved ones again. Mumler capitalized on this by making the spirits of the dead appear in pictures. Mary Lincoln came to him in February of 1872, still mourning 7 years after her husband's assassination. She was desperate for some kind of closure, and 3 years later was institutionalized. Number 6. The McMinnville UFO Photos. The McMinnville UFO Photos, also called the Trent UFO Photos, were taken by Paul and Evelyn Trent in Oregon on May 11, 1950. The photographs were printed in newspapers across the country. They were so convincing they even appeared in Life magazine. And although the photographs are considered an elaborate hoax, many argue they show a very real flying object. Maybe it wasn't an alien spacecraft, but it was definitely something. Astronomer William Hartman explained how it all happened. Evelyn was walking back to the farmhouse after feeding the rabbits. That was when she noticed a metallic disc moving toward the farm. She hollered to Paul, who came out to watch the object with her. They watched it for a while before Paul ran inside to grab the camera. He took 2 photographs, then the object fled. There are a lot of questions of why a seemingly ordinary couple in rural Oregon would go through the trouble of faking a UFO. It seems like a really weird thing for a couple of farmers to do in the 1950s. They didn't even take the film to be developed right away. They finished out the role by taking family photographs and then waited to get them developed until after Mother's Day. When they were interviewed in 1997, the Trents said they'd never considered it to be an alien ship. They just thought it was a secret military aircraft. Number 5. The Time Traveler. An image from 1898 has gone viral. The picture is of 3 children working in a gold mine in the Yukon Territory of Canada. The picture is part of a collection owned by documentary photographer Eric Hegg. He has a great collection of pictures showcasing the eager folk who travel deep into the Canadian Klondike to search for gold and make a fortune. The photograph of the 3 working children is 120 years old. What makes it so unusual is that one of the kids in the photograph looks identical to climate activist Greta Thunberg. The photograph has sparked claims that Greta is somehow a time traveler. We don't know any of the children's names from the original photograph. All we know is they were working in Dominion Creek in 1898, helping their families frantically search for gold. Activists at the University of Washington in Seattle say the photo doesn't show anybody time traveling. Instead, they say it's just a dizzying coincidence. Since the photo went viral, the university has been dealing with bizarre requests from people who want to talk to the photo in hopes Greta will somehow hear them, whatever timeline she's in. What do you think? Do they look alike? Let me know in the comments, and be sure to subscribe while you're at it. Number 4. The Hestallin Lights. There is a small valley in central Norway called Hestallin. In 1981, the residents of the valley became worried because of an unusual phenomenon that began to recur. Strange and mysterious lights suddenly appeared at various locations throughout the valley. Not just a couple of lights, hundreds of them. The weird lights continued from the end of 1981 all the way through 1984. At the peak of the activity, locals reported about 20 sightings per week. In 1983, concern reached fever level. A field investigation was carried out by Project Hestallin to try and understand the phenomenon. During the investigation, they made 53 observations of the mysterious lights. There are plenty of photographs that were taken by the townsfolk and the investigators. We know the lights were there. It's not up for debate whether the lights existed. There was another investigation in 1985, but by then, the lights were gone. Not a single sighting occurred during the 1985 investigation. There is still no logical explanation for what happened. Between the photographs and the investigations, scientists are stumped over what caused 3 years of seemingly endless alien lights in the sky over Hestallin Valley. What do you think these mysterious lights were? Let me know in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe. Number 3. The Surgeon's Photo. In 1933, George Spicer and his wife went for a leisurely drive through the Scottish Highlands. As they drove along, an unfamiliar creature moved in front of their car, scurried over the grass, and disappeared into Loch Ness. George and his wife later described the mysterious creature as being enormous, having no limbs and a really long neck, like a serpent. Several weeks later, a motorcyclist made an identical claim. The man on the motorcycle saw what he described as a prehistoric marine reptile with 4 huge fins. These were the first mainstream reports of a monster living in the depths of Loch Ness. It wouldn't be long before the creature took on the name Nessie and became the world's most beloved monster. Then came the surgeon's photograph. This is the picture you may have seen before, the black and white one of what looks like a reptile sticking its long neck out of the water. Seeing as this was the 1930s, people took the photograph for scientific evidence of a creature living in the lake. Pictures back then were indisputable proof of whatever they captured. It's called the surgeon's photograph because it was reportedly made by a surgeon named Robert Kenneth Wilson. It was published for the first time by the Daily Mail on April 21st, 1934. It was this very photograph that inspired so many people to hunt for the Loch Ness Monster. It's been almost 100 years. Technology has advanced significantly, and still, the surgeon's photograph is the best picture we have of Nessie. A lot of people think the photograph shows nothing but a dog with a stick in its mouth. But what do you think? Number 2. Photographs from the trunk. Greg Pack purchased a random wooden box at a trunk sale. A trunk sale is when you bid on the contents of a trunk without being able to look through them. The mysterious wooden box seemed like it might be interesting, and he only paid a few bucks for it. What Greg found inside the box shocked him beyond words. There were 18 glass pieces smudged with color and ink slipped into a wooden rack. The glass pieces were photograph plates, things that went out of fashion a century ago. In the late 19th century, glass plates were used to create negatives. When Greg held the plates up to the light, he saw the ghostly images of those negatives. The photographs were extremely creepy at first. They were smudged, looking like photographs of ghosts from the late 1800s. But Greg, being a handy guy, used his phone and some editing software to digitally restore the images. What began as creepy pictures of faceless children became family pictures in a backyard. Greg still doesn't know where the pictures came from or whose relatives they might be. Greg suspects the pictures were taken during a beach vacation, sometime between 1890 and 1910. Number 1. The Ghost Hand. A photograph appeared online recently, around 2020, that was taken in North Ireland circa 1900. The photograph shows a group of young women standing in 3 rows. It looks ordinary enough. The girls have their arms crossed over their chests, but if you look closely on the right side of the picture, you'll notice a ghost hand gripping the shoulder of one of the young women. The hand doesn't appear to belong to any of the other people in the photograph. It looks like the spectral hand of a ghostly spirit gripping the girl coldly by her shoulder. It's clearly not attached to anyone that we can see in the photo. The hand is just kind of there. Not even Snopes has been able to figure out if the picture is real or not. Their fact checkers didn't find any evidence of digital alteration. It could have been manipulated through processing or printing, but the picture seems to be legit. The girl supposedly worked at a linen factory in Belfast. The individual with the hand gripping her shoulder doesn't seem that bothered by it. The hand and its creepy fingers may have been the result of a long camera exposure. The hand could have rested on her shoulder and then moved as they posed for the picture. The fingers could even be some kind of material stuck to her shoulder from the linen factory. Then again, the hand could be the ghoulish claw of a restless spirit. Nobody knows. What's the craziest thing you've ever captured in a photograph? Let me know all about it in the comments. And thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already, and come back soon. Bye!